and really just kind of went on this mission of self-discovery, but have now turned that discovery into a business.
Meet Dean Cooper. He's an executive coach and trainer to executive teams at leading consulting and professional service firms. He's a coach and mentor to Olympic and Paralympic athletes and the founder of the Elite Practitioner Club and the Athlete Mindset.
So I've always had that interest in human behavior and how we can really bring high performance in business. So I think the holy trinity in business, which is leadership, negotiation, and influence.
But likely it's a $2.5 million a year business currently. It's like what my...
Yeah, and I think...
Oh, it's amazing. He has a 95% conversion rate, and they do all of that with an audience of 10,000 people, which is crazy.
So we focus a lot on what is it you actually say and do and when and how, because I think that's what everybody in business is really craving for.
Welcome Dean Cooper to the show. Dean is an executive coach and trainer to executive teams at leading consulting and professional service firms. As a coach and mentor to Olympic and Paralympic athletes as well, he is now the founder of the Elite Practitioner Club and the Athlete Mindset. Dean, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Matt. Great to be here.
Thank you. Let's take this away with, what's your mission on this planet?
My mission on this planet? What a great question. I think it's interesting, having spent 30 years in business consulting, we often got exposed a lot to business training, and a lot of that is around, human interaction, human behavior. And I always found it fascinating that a lot of that material was decades out of date, and we've kind of learned so much about how to really interact with humans more effectively now with advancements in things like neuroscience and evolutionary psychology. And so I think I'm on a bit of a mission at the moment to kind of learn everything that I possibly can from outside of the business world and bring it back into the business world for our benefit, really. So, looking at things like hostage negotiation, interrogation, neuroscience, how words hit our brain. I think that's probably my mission at the moment. Learn as much as I can from outside of the business world and bring it back in.
Right. What did you do before in your previous life? And what inflection point made you then start your business?
Great. So I was in business consulting, so working with the big consulting firms around the world. So doing a lot of large transformation programs where you're really driving, large business improvement, but ultimately trying to take people with you. So I've always had that interest in human behavior and how we can really bring high performance in business. So that was my arena. But I faced an interesting crossroads in my career where I had to ask myself the question, did I want to stay in that arena and become a partner in one of these big firms, which financially would have been, an amazing decision and would have been a wonderful career. But at the same time, I felt like there was this missed opportunity, not just for me personally, but for my family as well, to be able to, I think, take a different path, and a path led by curiosity and a path led by, exploration of understanding more about human behavior in the human brain, which I wasn't going to be getting exposed to within the business world. So I think that was the crossroads. And then I just really went for it, really. So trained as a hostage negotiator, trained as a behavior profiler, really studied at a deep level, advanced negotiation at Harvard, for example, and really just kind of went on this mission of self-discovery, but have now turned that discovery into a business.
Right. Great segue to talk about your core offer today. So if I were a typical client of yours, what would I buy from you?
So really what we offer is, more advanced, more game-changing tools and techniques around, I think, the holy trinity in business, which is leadership, negotiation, and influence. I haven't met anybody in the world, not just business, but I think generally in life, who wouldn't want to become a better negotiator, a better leader, whether that's of a family or in business. And I think just have greater influence over others in a positive way. And so that's what we bring. We bring all of those amazing tools and techniques from outside of the business world and show people how to use them day to day in their everyday conversations.
And real quick, is that an on-demand course? Is that a group coach thing? Is that a one-on-one? Is it done for you, done with you? How does it work?
So it's right across the board there. So, we often get asked to come and give one-off masterclasses or after-dinner speeches, but we also run longer-term programs. And I think the longer-term programs are where the real success is seen, because that's when you're turning, which is often a big challenge for us in the learning and development world, How do you turn knowledge into capability? I think, given today's environment, it's easier than ever to learn something new and to acquire knowledge, but it doesn't turn into capability until you actually start to rehearse and practice and that ongoing repetition. So we find we get most success when we're working with organizations over a period of months to really turn that knowledge into skill.
Price-wise, where does it start on the low end and where does it end on the high end?
So at the lower end for individuals, then we're offering work through the app for around about £29 per month, so around $35 a month. But we do masterclasses and ongoing training programs that can be anything up to £3,000 per head into the multiple hundreds of thousands for long-term and wider programs.
Like 250K-ish?
Yeah. I mean, we've got a couple of bids in at the moment that are around 400,000.
And that is per year?
Per year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and that's in pounds, right? Likely so 480, like $500,000 essentially in dollars almost.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're talking multiple numbers there. So, 120, 150 partners or directors within a firm, for example, and we're working with them every week for a month, for a year.
Right. If I were to interview some of these clients, what specific value in your offering do they rave most about?
I think the practical nature of what we bring. I think a lot of business training is very good at telling you what to do, but doesn't really show you how to do it. It's very good at teaching you models that were, developed in the 60s, 70s, or 80s, but they haven't really evolved. So we focus a lot on what is it you actually say and do and when and how, because I think that's what everybody in business is really craving for. We've all been in that situation where we've thought of just the right thing to say or just the right reply to somebody, but it's usually 3 hours after we actually needed it. So we teach people how to say things in the moment that have the greatest impact because they're grounded in things like neuroscience.
What tools do you use to deliver that value to customers?
What, sorry?
What tools do you use, for example, Zoom
or?
Mixture.
We use really essentially three things. So there's a combination of face-to-face and virtual masterclasses. We then back that up with using the app, the Elite Practitioner Club app. So that's building that repeatability. You know what it's like with these apps. If you can go into an app on a daily basis because it's bringing you value, then that's the bit that we're finding we're getting huge success in compared to a lot of organizations that are doing one-off trainings because they don't have that repeatability. They forget so much of their content within a matter of days. But when you're visiting the app on an ongoing basis through the community that we have in the app, then you're asking questions, you're supporting each other, you're learning on the go on a daily basis. And you can watch back those masterclasses whenever you choose or listen to them as a podcast, for example. So that's the second way. We're turning that knowledge into repeatable capability. And then the third way is we run open surgeries. So you don't just get to listen to a masterclass or talk about it afterwards. We run live open surgeries where people bring live opportunities and challenges that they're facing. And then as a group, we look at the best way forward in terms of the application of the Elite Practitioner Club tools and techniques and mindsets.
Clear. Take me on a timeline. When did you launch the business as is today with the current offer stack?
So the original business was opened up, which was probably more about face-to-face training, was around 14 years ago. But the real shift that we've seen in the last 12 months is through the introduction of the app. So we're able to, one, I think, hit a much wider global audience. It gives us a lot more flexibility in terms of the delivery, but we're also able to stay in contact with our clients and our clients' clients, their people, on a daily basis. So I would say we're probably 6 months old in terms of the new delivery model.
Wow. Good segue again to talk about success. How many paying customers do you have today in the whole business? In the whole business,
I mean, we've got a variety of top tier clients that are paying us, continuously for ongoing training programs. We have we've got about 99 subscribers at the moment on a very specific development program for consultants. And we're just about to launch some new programs where a wider audience can get access to these tools and techniques. So we've probably got about, I would say, 12 core sort of big global clients that we work with regularly. And then we've got about a few thousand within that are constantly dipping into our materials.
If you think the creator economy is really interesting, then I got something for you. On milliondollartraders.club, we actually created a database of all the creators out there, and you see not just their fans, followers, subscribers, but actually how much money are they making. So with that, we bring now transparency into the creator economy, and you really see how are the best of the best get their customers, price their offers, create their offer stack, get customers, which tools are they using, how will they grow and triple their business going forward. So if that's interesting for you, including lists of who makes the most revenue, who has the fastest revenue growth, who has the biggest audience, who has the fastest growing audience, who makes the most revenue per follower, and who has the most exciting offer stack from low end all the way to the high end, then go to $1 Million Creator Stuff Club and enjoy the data. Right. So like these thousands of would be the heads working in these big corporates, more or less, right?
Yeah,
that
and some of their team
into.
members, yeah. We tend to deal mostly with the sort of senior manager, director, and partner level, the exec level individuals. So they can be, much harder to please. You're dealing with individuals that are incredibly successful, have, seen a lot of training over the years. And I think they're a tough audience to please, which is why this content works really well, because it's taken from the worlds of hostage negotiation, interrogation, behavior profiling, elite sport. Those are things that this audience hasn't been exposed to before. And so I think it gives it that novelty and a different level of authority. So we also bring in, guest speakers from outside of the business world. So, people that are famous from the sporting arena, as well as being incredibly successful within
That's
their own
amazing.
fields.
It's amazing. I love to run the numbers. So in my head, when you shared these, right, I was like, 12 big corporate clients, you said up to 400 or let's say 500K US. So let's go with 250. 250 times 12 is 3 million a year. And the 99 subscribers that are maybe on, depends, like a few K or maybe like 35 a month. I don't know, depending if it's app subscribers or not.
Yeah.
But likely it's a 2.5 million a year business currently. That's like what my...
Yeah, and I think we're looking at quite significant growth over the next 12 months as well. So I think we'll leave those figures behind pretty quickly.
Nice. Let's talk about growth then. So if you compared it on a year-to-year scale, let's say where was it 12 months ago compared to now? So let's say now it's at 2.5 million run rate or 3, somewhere between there. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
And then was it like half of it like a year ago?
We were probably at around 20% of that last year.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I think with COVID and lockdown, it kind of forced us to change our business model, but it also allowed us to become more accessible. Prior to that, where we were doing a lot of face-to-face work, it was like herding cats sometimes. You needed to not only make sure that we were available as a delivery team, but that the client could find the right venue, could get all of their attendees to turn up at the same time. And typically with this, more senior audience, it's really difficult to get people to turn up to a training venue, especially to topics that they may have thought they'd seen before, but obviously they haven't. So, with COVID lockdown, it forced us to go more virtual, but it also meant we were much more accessible. And I think we've followed that through then with not just the face-to-face delivery, but with the virtual delivery. And then the backup of the app means that people can access the content whenever they want. And we can brand it and tailor it to the individual client circumstance too. Then it really does add this extra dimension. And it means we've got regular contact with our learners so that they're not just learning something new, they really are turning it into skill and capability.
Nice. Let's talk about the cost side of the business real quick. How big is the team actually, and what are the biggest expenditures on the P&L?
So at the moment, we have sort of 3 permanent staff, but we use a network of people in terms of delivery. So we have a whole host of industry experts that we pay on demand. And that would probably be our biggest expense, is the expertise that we bring in. So, we have leaders from the sporting world, as well as sort of outside of the business world in things like advanced negotiation, and even some of the, faculty at some of the world's leading business schools. They're not cheap to get hold of.
Love it. Let's talk about customer acquisition, right? Like your social media following is small. Yeah. So how do you get eyeballs awareness about your offers?
Well, it's interesting because we made the conscious choice that it was a bit like Fight Club, I guess. It's like the first rule of Elite Practitioner Club is we don't talk about the Elite Practitioner Club. It's very much been, I'd say 98% of our work is referral work. It's people that I've known in my 30 years of business consulting and their connections. So, and we kind of like it that way. We're probably of a, let's say, a maturity, where we don't want to have to keep coming up with content every day and be an influencer and all of these kind of things. We really do want
Right.
to focus on deepening our expertise and focusing on a smaller number of clients, but adding immense amounts of value. When we were coaching a director just 2 weeks ago, through one coaching conversation on a program that they're on, they were able to secure an extra $500,000 on a contract that they were negotiating on. So, we might need to
Yeah,
change
you
our model to
try.
commission actually, rather than paying for
Yeah.
training. But yeah, we've kind of consciously been aware of our business decision to keep it small, keep it exclusive, but to add immense amounts of value.
Right. Yeah, it makes total sense. There's a lot of ROI in the procurement or wherever, like in the business, you negotiate terms. Hey, and what's the funnel then from awareness to purchase? So let's say referral comes in. How does that actually happen? And then what's the funnel to conversion?
Yeah. So typically, our existing clients are just continuing to buy more work from us, but often those people may move on to other organizations, or they may be talking to somebody over dinner or a networking event, and they'll share what we've been up to. So typically, a referral will come in, and I will have a really strong conversation around what it is they're looking for, what our fit might be, and the business objectives to do that. So essentially, I do a lot of the fielding of any inquiries that come in, and we work out if we're a good fit for each other. If we're not, we might refer them on to some of our partner organizations. But essentially, once we've had a referral and we feel it's the right thing, we're probably sitting at a 95% conversion rate at the moment.
That's amazing. Let me think. If someone were to build a business like yours, let's say in a different market, right? Not to get like not negotiation, but like very referral business, 98% referral business. Is that possible without like the 30 or 3 decades of experience? What would you recommend? What's your advice for someone that would build a business like that?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because I think having that background is obviously building an element of credibility, but there are millions of people around the world who have 30 years of experience. So I've found the differentiator really is one, understanding the real value that clients are looking for, and bringing the novelty of something that they haven't seen before. And I think being able to demonstrate you understand the real challenge that they're going through is the secret here, because that then piques interest and credibility. But it's having a different answer. And I think this is why we spent, literally about 14 years of research looking outside of the business world. This is why we spent time with hostage negotiators, interrogators, qualified as behavior profilers ourselves. We spent time with undercover agents, cult recruiters, spy recruiters, Olympic athletes. We looked outside of the business world in depth, and we wanted to then harness what is it that they're doing outside of the business world that we're not doing in the business world, but then translate it practically into something that we can use on a day-to-day basis. And so I think
Okay.
if whether you've got 30 years of experience or not, I think the bit that makes the biggest difference is demonstrating the real understanding of what your client's going through. That helps build credibility, but then bringing the novelty of a new and more effective solution than is out there already.
Before we continue, there's one favor I would like to ask. If you enjoy what we do here and you enjoy the guests that we bring, please join Million Dollar Creators by hitting the subscribe button. And if you do, I'll make you a deal. I do everything in my power to make this show bigger and better for you. Do we have a deal? Enjoy the show. Very clear. Let's talk about the future real quick. So can you triple the business in the next 12 months? And if so, what strategy or tactic will get you there?
Triple might be interesting. I think it's certainly doable. But I think what we're doing now is probably moving. We'll still maintain our corporate clients, but what we're also getting from those corporate clients as individuals that are going through the training program is, where can we get more of your stuff? So we're about to launch programs that are much more accessible to the wider audience. We've tended to concentrate on consultancy and law firms in the past, but we're branching that out into new industries because we see the fit there is phenomenal. So I think we're probably targeting more of the higher volume at the lower end as a way of then piquing interest to do more of the corporate stuff wider term. And we're also having some great conversations with some of the world's leading business schools at the moment around how we can perhaps service some of their clients more effectively too.
Clear. So what biggest potential channel will then actually drive that growth? Is it business schools or what would it be?
I think it's a combination of business schools, but I also think there's some interesting markets that we're moving into, particularly in South Africa, India, Australia, and potentially more so in the UK. That's linked to sport. So there's a lot that we can learn from sport in terms of the athlete's mindset. But we want to go beyond this sort of edutainment where people may do an after dinner speech for an hour or so. And you have this wonderful memory of meeting this sporting idol, but you don't really change anything about your behavior.
Right.
So we're developing an interesting program which is called the Athlete Mindset, where we've engaged with some of the world's leading sports people. And we're trying to harness what is it they do on a day-to-day basis. Well, how do they really inspire and interact with people? And you'll also get coaching from those people too as part of a longer-term program. So really sort of harvesting what they do and turning it into something practical. And we think that's going to be huge for us.
What's the biggest thing holding you back personally on that journey?
Time, more than anything else. As I said earlier, there's sort of three of us that are the core team. So I think the only challenge there is enough time for us and being able to bring on the right people as we grow.
Next section is called Favorite 5. It's a fast-paced section. You can answer in one word. So what is your favorite book or business book?
Never Split the Difference. Chris Voss.
What's your favorite way to get inspiration and to learn and grow?
Inspiration is my children. Learn and grow. I have an amazing network of people where we just debate stuff all the time and we're constantly learning. So I love having that little mini network.
What's your favorite person that you are studying, your role model?
My goodness, there's so many. I'm a big fan of Chase Hughes. I don't know if anybody, some of your listeners may have heard of him, ex-military and probably the world's leading specialist in behavior profiling.
What's your favorite event or conference that you have attended or would love to attend?
I love anything to do with the YPO, Young Presidents Organization, an amazing network of individuals.
That makes total sense for your business. What's your favorite online tool for building your company?
Online tool. I mean, this will sound a bit obvious, but I mean, the biggest difference for us has been using Passion. That's been a real shift for us.
Amazing. And what's your favorite city or place that you would love to move to?
I'm a big fan of Dubai.
For tax reasons?
No, not at all. In fact, I was just there 2 weeks ago. Just, incredible environment, aspiration, just, everything's possible in Dubai. It's phenomenal.
Right. What's the biggest thing on your mind right now?
How to grow, just capacity is the biggest challenge at the moment.
Personal section. How many hours do you work per week?
Oh, that's a great one. It varies week to week. I feel like I'm in control of it. So I probably work 45, 48 hours a week.
How many hours do you sleep per night?
I actually do pretty okay. I'm probably around 7 hours at the moment as an average.
Then what's the situation? Are you single, married, any kids?
Married with 2 children.
Nice. And what's your age?
My age, I'm 52.
Lovely. One more quick question. You said earlier your biggest issue is time. Could you double click on that? Like what specifically would you? How do you currently prioritize your time?
Yeah, I think the challenge that I personally have is I love getting creative. And so I personally take a lot of time and effort in looking at, not just how our app looks, but how it sounds, how it feels. I get really hands-on with these things. And there are times when I know I need to probably outsource some of that stuff and focus more strategically and keep working on the relationship building. So yeah, I think that's probably my biggest challenge is to let go of a few things at the tangible practical design level. Sometimes it's hard when you've got this vision in your head.
Balance strategy with like small details and small tasks.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it comes down to a trust thing. You can definitely outsource the creative side of things, but I always worry that how do I get what's in here across to somebody else's clearly, so that they're able to
Right.
deliver to the kind of to match the idea that I have in my own head. And my experience in the past has been that's been quite challenging. So often it's a case of, right, it's quicker if I do it myself. And I think a lot of leaders struggle with that in a number of different ways.
Totally. Final question. We also want to give some advice for the audience. If you could go back in time and have a conversation with your 20-year-old self, what's the best piece of advice that you would give to your younger self?
Oh, I would learn to read others. Learn to behavior profile as quickly as you can. It is absolute gold dust. And to demonstrate an empathy for how others see the world. It's your fastest way to connect with people. It's your fastest way to influence. If I knew these skills 30 years ago, who knows where I would have ended up.
Very clear. That is Dean Cooper. He's an executive coach and trainer to executive teams. He actually brought hostage negotiations and the athlete mindset into the business context, helping these organizations to negotiate better, to get more ROI, and to hear something new, to apply new things from the non-business section to business. With that, he's very successful. He's built a 7-figure business. You can work through all the way $35 a month up to $500,000 a year for a very in-depth corporate package where he brings in the difference for your business. A lot of his business is coming, and most of it actually is coming through referrals and customers, existing customers and clients buying more and upgrading through his programs. And with that, he's cracked a decent 7-figure business, has grown a lot through COVID as well. We'll now take it to the next level, and I guess sky's the limit. Thank you so much for sharing your passion, Dean.
You're very welcome. Thank you for your time.